It's Monday, March 7, 2011. In this week's BeakerBeat, first they cut staff, now they're cutting out the middleman. See why Medtronic will soon be selling door to door. Plus, find out which companies in the life sciences biz are rated the best to work for and why. Then you can polish up your resume. And with all the talk nationwide about unions and pay issues, pharma sales reps get a victory in their overtime battle. All that and more in this week's edition of BeakerBeat. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of BeakerBeat. I'm Mike Justice, thanks for tuning in. Well, as you know, if you're a longtime viewer, we love finding old car shows, or somehow they find us. It's very strange. Anyway, here's this week's top story. For the second week in a row, Medtronic tops our news, but this time it's not about layoffs. It's about money, specifically the savings of it. According to the New York Times, Medtronic could save from $40 to $60 million a year by canceling 5 group purchasing contracts worth $2 billion. They will negotiate prices directly with hospitals instead. This makes Medtronic happy, but it makes the hospitals and Novation, the spurned middleman that held the contracts, very unhappy. The savings come through the cancellation of a 2 to 3% administrative fee charged by Novation, money that could be passed back as hospital savings. One analyst thinks that the change benefited the device maker more than the hospitals, saying, quote, MDT's bold move could represent a positive shift in bargaining power away from the hospitals and back to the device manufacturers. A group of 16 not-for-profit hospitals and academic medical centers sent an open letter to Medtronic CEO William Hawkins to express, quote, extreme disappointment. Meanwhile, Novation said thousands of hospitals could end up paying higher prices and would struggle to compare medical devices because of Medtronic pricing confidentiality clauses. Quote, this move will likely raise costs for member organizations by eliminating the price protection that members benefit from through Novation's national agreements, end quote, according to the company in a statement. But Medtronic claims it already had direct relationships with those hospitals and wanted to save money by cutting out the middleman. In a statement issued Friday, Medtronic emphasized healthcare reform and economic uncertainty as reasons to do more direct selling. Quote, this analysis has led us to cancel 5 of our Novation agreements, which we believe will ultimately take costs out of the healthcare system. End quote. Medtronic added that they expect no disruption in day-to-day business operations with hospital customers, as the vast majority of contracts are already negotiated at the local level. These are awesome. 58, 59, and 62 Corvettes. Pretty sweet. Well, tell us what you think about this story or any story that you see in today's show. It's very simple. Click on the orange button below me. Box will pop up. Type in your comments, send it to me. I promise I'll read and respond to every one of them. And when you're done watching BeakerBeat, check out Beaker's blog, where we take a look at some new and unusual players entering the life sciences industry. Plus, is the device industry R&D suffering? Those stories and more on Beaker's blog. So this thing looks like something the Munchers would drive. And I'm pretty sure it would not pass the new safety standards for the bumpers. During a presidential panel on jobs and competitiveness, President Barack Obama said the FDA needs an update. The Financial Times reports President Obama said his administration would focus on modernizing the FDA, which is not prepared to handle emerging 21st century challenges in regulating food and drugs. Quote, essentially their model was designed for the kind of medical devices you see in museums, end quote. The comments come as the White House is continuing a push to re-examine and reform burdensome federal regulations in an effort to boost American job creation. Food and drug regulations is an area the administration considers in need of modernization. In his fiscal year 2012 budget, Obama proposed a 33% increase in FDA's budget to $4.3 billion. This at a time when most agency budgets are frozen to respond to concerns about budget deficits. Some good news to pass on. Fortune magazine just released its latest list of top 100 companies to work for, and some life sciences names were there. San Francisco-based Genentech came in at number 35, while Princeton, New Jersey-based Novo Nordisk was 47. Also on the list, Newark, Delaware-based W.L. Gore & Associates at number 31. They have a hand in making medical devices. Plus, Cambridge, Mass-based Millennium, owned by Takeda Pharma, came in at number 56, and Kalamazoo, Michigan-based Stryker made the list at number 68. Some healthcare companies also made the list. The companies were judged using a variety of criteria, including pay, diversity, benefits, and intangibles like on-site childcare and telecommuting. So, if you want to be happy, maybe you should apply to one of these companies. And if you already work there, congratulations, and don't screw it up. Time for some quick hits now, and speaking of quick hits, look at these amazing Camaros. I love Camaros. Actually, I'm looking for one. because I used to have one. The FDA appears on track to meet its 510K review times for fiscal 2010. However, it's still a mystery as to where it stands on PMAs. That's what the agency says in its annual Medical Device User Fee and Modernization Act report to Congress. The number of 510K submissions decreased in fiscal 2010, but still reached the second highest level in the past 5 years. The trick is, the agency measures review times in FDA days, not calendar days. This means that when the agency asks additional questions of sponsors, who sometimes take months to respond, that time doesn't count. Another rule that makes perfect sense to those in government and no sense to the rest of us. Thermo Fisher Scientific says it plans to set up a new facility in Suzhou, China to focus on the development and production of laboratory instruments and other related tools for the life sciences industry. The manufacturing plant, which is expected to be finished by early next year, is part of the firm's expansion plan in the Asia-Pacific region. We've already told you that Uncle Sam wants a bigger, faster supply of flu vaccine to fight potential pandemics. Now he's paying up with a pair of new contracts initially totaling $215 million for Novavax and Vaccinate. Novavax has a deal with HHS which could reach $179 million, and Vaccinate's contract could hit $196 million. This all comes after HHS was left looking silly during the recent swine flu pandemic when manufacturers failed to deliver early vaccine supplies as promised. This led to the current change in attitude towards the flu bug. The FDA continues its campaign against unapproved drugs by ordering companies to stop selling about 500 prescription remedies for cough, cold, and allergies. The move mostly affects small drug makers and products first marketed before 1962, when the FDA was charged with reviewing drug safety and effectiveness. It's just the latest in a crackdown against never-reviewed products. Worried about safety, the FDA started taking action against unapproved drugs in 2006, according to the Dow Jones. Since then, the FDA has moved to pull unapproved meds 17 times. Facing the loss of patent protection on its top-selling Alzheimer's treatment Aricept, Pharma plans to cut 900 jobs over the next 5 years. The cuts will come in the U.S., Japan, and Europe. The drug fell off patent in November, and given that it accounted for about 40% of sales in the most recent fiscal year, marketing it at cut rates will create a big sales gap.
Just a good old voice, never meaning no harm.
Check it out, Jeremy. A car from my childhood, the General Lee, the Dukes of Hazzard. I wonder if Boss Hogg and Cooter are around here. Checking money matters, and Thermo Fisher Scientific has agreed to sell its Athena Diagnostics to Quest Diagnostics for $740 million. Plus, Thermo is selling its Lancaster Labs to Eurofins Scientific for $200 million. This comes as the company tries to close its $2.1 billion purchase of Dionex, a laboratory equipment manufacturer. More proof that a cutting-edge biotech with a hot prospect can forge massive buyout deals. Daiichi Sankyo says it will pay $805 million upfront and up to $130 million in near-term milestones for Plexicon, a tiny oncology developer that has made news with some amazing results for its lead melanoma drug. For Daiichi, the deal offers a potential shortcut into the oncology market. The biotech's targeted PLX4032 could be approved as early as next year. South Korean technology conglomerate Samsung may be better known for making TVs, but the company is moving into the life sciences biz too. Samsung and CRO Quintiles have signed a $266 million deal to produce biosimilar versions of blockbuster drugs like Rituxan, Humira, Enbrel, and Remicade. Samsung will build a new manufacturing facility near Seoul and hopes to sell its first biologic products by 2013. Biosimilars should hit the market 3 years later. Bayer posted its first quarterly loss in 7 years, and it may not get better anytime soon, as the company said pharmaceutical sales growth isn't likely to match the market this year. The net loss totaled almost $200 million compared with a similar-sized profit a year earlier. Bayer said it's targeting sales growth of 4 to 6% this year. Revenue from plastics and other chemicals rose 28%, while sales of pesticides and other crop chemicals increased 18%. Intracellular Therapies has struck a preclinical discovery deal with Takeda that could be worth $750 million. It's to develop and commercialize selective PDE1 inhibitors for cognitive impairment associated with schizophrenia. Now, no word on cash up front, but ITI will be eligible for $500 million in development milestones, plus another $250 million in sales-based milestones. A 1932 Rockney. I don't even know what that is, Jeremy, but it's very cool. Time now for our final story of the day.
Load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
Getting paid for your time is what we as workers expect. That simple idea, though, has been largely ignored in the world of pharma sales reps. But now a U.S. Supreme Court decision could fix that. the highest court in the land refused to reconsider appellate court decisions against Novartis and Merck's sharing unit. The court didn't comment on the two lawsuits, which have been working their way up the court system ladder for several years now. But here are the basic facts. A federal appeals court ruled last year that neither Novartis nor Merck should have been exempting their sales forces from overtime rules and the Fair Labor Standards Act. As the Star-Ledger reports, that ruling was partly based on a Department of Labor brief supporting the sales reps' claims for overtime. Of course, Novartis and Merck didn't agree and asked the Supreme Court to consider their appeals. The ensuing no means Novartis could have to pay at least $100 million in back overtime to 2,500 current and former reps. In fact, the court's denial could affect more than a half dozen companies now dealing with overtime lawsuits. Plaintiffs' lawyers in the Novartis case are representing sales reps from Pfizer, Roche, and Abbott Labs. Complicating matters, however, is that the other appellate court decisions have gone the opposite direction. So only time will tell if the court's denial translates into overtime requirements for all pharma reps. But time, it seems, is something they have plenty of. It's compensation that they lack. Look, Jeremy, we found my car. Yeah, sorta. I didn't have a 350, I had a 327. The color's right. I had this yellow color. This one's much nicer though. Mine was a combo of yellow and rust orange. Anyway, that's it for this week's edition of BeakerBeat. I'm Mike Justice. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I wonder if I can buy this. Sit, Beaker. Sit. Good dog. Jeremy, please look, don't touch. Nothing's happening.